Michael Boyle's StrengthCoach.com presents the Strength Coach Podcast, brought to you by Perform Better, the experts in functional training and rehabilitation. PerformBetter.com.
All right, hey guys, welcome to episode 384 of the Strength Coach Podcast, brought to you by Perform Better, the experts in functional training and rehabilitation. I'm your host, Anthony Rena. The show notes are located at StrengthCoachPodcast.com. All right, on the StrengthCoach.com and NBSC.TV Coach's Corner, I spoke with Coach Boyle about something he said on Twitter about how he found the best players were often the worst at fitness testing. So I wanted him to clarify what he meant exactly by fitness testing. What test did that encompass? He also talked about a quote, "Change is good, just don't change everything." And I wanted him to expand on that about some examples at NBSC, how he uses that. And then we're going to talk about a talk he did with his interns at NBSC, where the main message is you are in the life-changing business. So I wanted him to expand on that. So for the Hit the Gym with Strength Coach segment, I have on Mark Fisher. Mark is the owner at Mark Fisher Fitness in New York City. I also founded a business of unicorns, which is like a business consulting company. He's also an author. His latest book is The Little Book of Gym Marketing Secrets. We're going to tell you how you can get a free digital copy in the show notes. We're going to cover some core marketing tools, lead generation systems, lead nurture systems, and lead conversion systems. Going to talk a little bit about how this is mostly a long tail game, so don't let the overnight success people fool you. What is a client avatar? How do we optimize that? Demographics versus psychographics, why it's an important distinction. The front end offer, what that is and how to optimize that. The first place to start with your marketing services, you'd be surprised. And should you do paid advertising as a new gym? That we really talked about a lot in a short amount of time. Good stuff coming up from Mark. Guys, the Perform Better Functional Training Summits, 2 have passed. I was just in Chicago. It was awesome. I just can't tell you. I did 3 practicals, Josh Henkin, Greg Rose, and Brett Jones. You get so much out of practicals. You get so much out of the lectures, but I got to spend some time with some good people there. Just some good friends, some new friends, and some people that I knew for a while, but, just kind of hadn't connected with them in a while. So there's nothing like in person. So you got 2 opportunities coming up, LA, August 1st to the 3rd, Providence, the 22nd to the 24th. You can check out my interview with Chris Pryor about the new format. So there's a bunch of new presenters. There's a kickoff session on Thursday, a new networking and Q&A session that they do all day, and no more Sundays. So check it all out at performbetter.com. Lots of things to get to. So let's get on the phone with Coach Boyle. All right, guys, now it's time for the StrengthCoach.com and NBSC.TV Coach's Corner with Coach Boyle. Remember to try both sites out 7 days for free. Go to either StrengthCoach.com or NBSC.TV for those trials. Coach, how you doing?
I am doing well, Anthony. How are you? It's a beautiful day. It's hot. I'm sweaty, actually, and I am shingling, believe it or not. Doing some work on the house. Taking a little break. Talk to you and our Strength Coach Podcast fans.
There we go. Well, we usually do a clip, so everyone's going to be able to see this beautiful bay/ocean view. He changed it up this week, so
I did. I moved my seat.
Check Instagram for that in a couple days, kids. Coach, I just need to clarify because I know people are going to take this the wrong way. You found that Erica Suter Mulholland, she was talking about. We found about testing, and you had said we found our best players were often the worst at fitness, quote unquote, testing. And I just want to make sure people understand what you mean by fitness testing, because you're not talking about all the tests. And like a Jack Eichel wasn't doing poorly on some of the on some of the testing in general.
Well, fitness testing, I think that's what we're clarifying. So we're not talking our best players, and I wrote about this in a hockey article one time. Our best players, particularly at younger, we're not talking at the professional level, but at the college level, our best players would have the highest vertical jumps and the fastest sprint times, whatever we would try. That time we might have been timing a standing 10 or whatever, 3-point 10, whatever it was. Our best players were the best at those events, and they were almost always close to the bottom in fitness testing. So if we were testing, whatever, mile runs or 300 shuttles or things like that, our best players did not tend to win those. I always said those tests tended to get won by the walk-on kids, by the grinders, and not by the most talented guys on our team. And I think it's a really big point to make to people that you can either be fast twitch or you can be fit. It's not very easy to be both. Tim Kettering would love you to believe that you can be both, and he'll argue to the death with me that you can. But historically, in my opinion, I have found it to be very hard. Like my NHL guys that were always the fastest skaters generally were not great. I mean, it's not like they were out of shape, but they were not top 3, top 4, top 5 in any of the fitness testing that we did. As guys move through the program, that would change a little bit. There are some anomalies, but in general, the guys that were the fastest and the highest vertical jumps did not finish in the top of fitness testing. And then I was saying Kendall Coyne on our women's team did do both. She was the fastest and had the best on ice shuttle time. But again, older, more mature, really dedicated to training. I just think we have to be careful that, and I argue this all the time, but I think you've got to choose your direction, fit or fast. And it's not black and white, but you do have to choose how you're going to point your programming. And if you're pointing your program at fit, you're probably not going to maximize fast. I would prefer to maximize fast. And I always say this, and again, Tim argues with me about this too. He'll love that he's getting name dropped in the podcast. But in general, I think if I have 6 weeks, I can get you in pretty good shape. It might take me 6 years to make you faster, to really impact your speed. It will definitely take me multiple years to impact somebody's speed. But in 6 weeks, if you give me someone who's not in very good shape in 6 weeks, I can give you someone back who's much better. Whether we're measuring, I'm a big believer in performance testing versus VO2 max. So we might, like, I'm going to look at now and say, hey, the 2 mile assault bike, and I really want to try to validate that by getting more data. But if you've got athletes like hockey players, whatever, it's a pretty telling test in terms of who's fit and who's not.
Absolutely. Kind of reminds me a little bit of just what you said about, I heard somebody talking about Navy SEALs where the guys that come in almost in the best shape, jacked, big, they usually end up dropping out first. And one of the reasons it reminded me of like your walk-ons is they have to do so much work and they end up doing so much work on their own. And the SEALs are more of a team thing that they're looking for guys that can work together with teams, and those guys don't have that as good of an ability. Just kind of remind me, I feel like that's what a walk-on a lot of times is. They're in their garage, they're doing everything they can because they know they might not have that ability and they have to
Right. And
make
they
up
know,
for
I
it.
mean, that the collegiate walk-on generally again is not as talented as his full scholarship peers. Again, everybody makes mistakes. You get some kids. Matt Gilroy, who walked on at BU his first year and won the Hobie Baker Award. So there's always, for every rule, I can show you the exception to that rule, but I will still stand by the aggregate. And I hate to, again, data, but test results are data, right? And I mean, if you look at your test results over the period of years, there is no question that we never had players. Like, I would look at players and think, I can evaluate your fast twitch fiber capability by your vertical jump and by your sprint times. And someone who does not have great fast twitch fiber capability, at least if we're looking at NHL, NFL, Major League Baseball, the areas where I've spent more time, you're not going to make it in those sports without a large percentage of fast twitch muscle fiber.
Yeah, and you can't bring up Gilroy because he's a New Yorker and might tend to be superior human beings. But
yes, in general, I would say that's
Coach, preached. There was I think I forget his name, Robert Greene, preached the need for change, but never reform too much at once. You responded, "Change is good, just don't change everything." Now, I saw Adam Fight speak about behavioral change a couple days ago, and one of the first things he talked about was how when change happens too fast, it can certainly be a bad thing. It actually used the word traumatic, and it can cause resistance. One of the things that I used in my Talk and Perform Better the last couple of years, that I repeated at the end, was the impact that we have on clients. Can you talk about, because we're gonna segue that into life changing business as well, your talk, but can you talk about some examples where you, besides the Red Sox, we know that, where you went into the Red Sox and you didn't change anything, you didn't go in there with gangbusters and like, we're not doing any more bilateral squats, whatever. In your business, how are you kind of thinking about this with clients, with athletes? Change is good, just don't change everything. How does that
I
translate at
think it's
NBSC?
adding small things to your program. It's like listening to David Gray and saying, hey, we're going to try a little front foot elevated stuff. We're going to make a change here. Maybe like what we're doing now, our skater squat warm up set is floating heel or front foot elevated or whatever you want to call it. So we're going to make that change. We changed our plyo routine. We added some of Hunter's depth drops in. We're trying to work a progression of that. We changed that. We didn't completely, it's not like, oh, I'm going to completely change my plyo program. It's, I'm going to make a small change to my plyo program. And then I'm going to see, even yesterday as a perfect example, we did 2-to-1 box jump up. So we jumped off two legs, landed on one, and then we walked across the box and we did 2-to-1 depth drop, right? And just because it's easy, you got to get up on the box anyway. Why step up on the box when you can get an extra jump in? And then we can get an extra unilateral landing, obviously lower intensity than the one that we're going to get off the other side. We walk off the other side. So our guys are simply going in a circle to get 6 reps, doing 3 on each leg, 3 right landings, 3 left landings, 3 right drops, 3 left drops. 20, what did we do? We did 18 inches, actually. 18 inches was definitely too easy. Moved it up to 21, threw a 3-inch riser on top. 21 was pretty good. I think next time when we do it next Monday, we'll probably go 24. So these are the small changes that we're going to make as we seek to improve our program. It's not like, oh, I'm just going to throw my plyo program away and start doing Matt's program. So
Yeah, yeah. And people who listened to last episode with Hunter will know that we also talked about, like overcoming ISOs and some other things. And you're really just focused on the depth drops right now. Good stuff.
exactly.
Coach, just give everybody an overview. I know there's been some social media stuff that NBSC has put out. You've kind of retweeted it and put it out on Instagram about, we are in the life-changing business. Like I said, that's one of the things for me that I really feel like if people want to stay in this business for a long time, you have to understand that the impact they're making. It really does go back to why. Just give us an overview of your life-changing business talk.
Well, that's
in
our
your
intern. It's our intern talk when we get
yeah.
everybody in there. We want these young kids to really understand the impact that they can have on the young athletes that they're going to work with. I don't think a young coach, maybe in our case with our interns, someone coming into their first coaching experience, realizes how much, how much effect. I always put, and they didn't put it up, but I think the quote, it's a Billy Graham quote, but it said, a coach will impact more people in a year than most people impact in a lifetime. And so I'm just trying to get the point across to these young kids that are doing this, that we are really in the life-changing business. That's what we do. We're getting people maybe to learn how to work. We're getting people to learn to fall in love with the process. We're getting people to enjoy exercise. There's all these things that we're doing that are probably going to make, not probably, are going to make lifelong changes in these athletes, many of which won't go on. Some won't even play in college, and some after they play in college. But I tell people all the time, I get letters and emails and notes from people saying, wow, I still work out. I still do the program that I learned at Boyle's. The discipline that I got from being there 4 days a week has really carried over into my life. So I want them to see that part. I think that's really important.
Awesome. Good stuff, Coach. Cindy Boyle just texted me. She needs those shingles up. So we're going to let you go and have a good one. Enjoy the day. Being outside, and we'll talk to you next time. Have a
All
great
right,
4th of
thanks.
July.
I'm not enjoying the day. It's hot. We are sweating. Poor Mark Boyle. Mark Boyle is learning to shingle, and I think it's under duress, to be honest.
All right, guys, now it's time for the Hit the Gym with a Strength Coach segment. Today I have on my old friend, Mark Fisher, international speaker, consultant, entrepreneur, man of mystery. And through keynotes, courses, and coaching, Mark helps training gym owners achieve financial success and personal freedom. Him and his I always love this non-sexual life partner, Michael
Yes.
Kiefer, founded Business for Unicorns in 2016, and they've worked with many leading fitness studios across the world. They also co-founded Mark Fisher Fitness, one of the most unusual gyms in the fitness industry. And we'll probably touch on that a little bit because I don't give Mark a hard time about that, but sometimes I wonder if some of the things we talk about is, Mark's in New York City, in the middle of New York City with definitely a different demographic. And so I always wonder, hey, will this apply to some other people? But I will tell you, he is an author now. And in this book, Little Book of Gym Marketing Secrets, you'll be convinced that this is for anybody. And the concepts are the concepts for any business. So Mark, thanks for doing this, brother.
Thanks so much. I'm so excited to connect and share about this stuff. I'm obsessed with this and I'm thinking about it all day long, every day for a long time. So it's nice to put on paper and it's nice to get it out there for people to look at and hopefully use it.
Yeah. And I just want to do a quick shout out to Vince Gabriel because we do the episode once a month with him, and he's marketing his big thing. You guys are good friends.
Oh, yeah.
So for Vince to say, yeah, it's cool, man. Vince he has an abundance mindset, and I think to allow you to come on and talk about your stuff. You're going to be on his podcast too, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Love that you guys are collaborating. I'll see you both in about 6 or 8 hours. I think I'll see you both probably at the bar up in Chicago for the Perform Better Summit where you're speaking. So we're going to get this going right now though. So Little Book of Gym Marketing Secrets. It's free. We'll have links for everybody. Or you could always go to Hot Buns at AOL. Huh?
You could.
you know I read the book when I'm
oh yeah, representing. That's my favorite trainer email address.
So the book does cover core marketing tools, lead generation systems, lead nurture systems, lead conversion systems, and marketing planners. And so I do want to get out, although this says the Little Book of Gym Marketing Secrets, this is mostly a long tail game, like you say in the book, because there is a lot of stuff here. There is no shortcut here.
Yep.
Although Mark does give a lot of little shortcuts. I love how we talked about this, like just something like your website speed that you give a link to it. I did mine actually. So I think things like that are very cool. Like people want though, that's a shortcut to me. The rest of it is not a shortcut.
Yes.
So
yes.
Talk to me about though, let's just start out really quick with where this kind of came from with you deciding, hey, I need to get some of this stuff out there. Was it just a lot of people asking about it, or?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was having a lot of conversations, and I've been on a real big Jim Rohn kick lately, and something that he says, oh, gosh, that just like nails it for me. Is like I'm always the three things I love to do is I'd love to study, practice, and teach. I study, I practice, and teach. So I'm always learning both from inside and outside the industry. I'm practicing. I both run Mark Fisher Fitness, and I'd love to put a pin in the conversation around like, can we really, trust what the unicorn Jim says? Because it's a fair concern. I would note I do own a completely wonderful, but admittedly normie gym in North New Jersey that is not Mark Fisher Fitness, different market, different brand. So I have even more context about what does and does not apply. And the teaching piece is this, right? So most of what my day-to-day is I help gym owners create more income, more impact, and more freedom. So what a lot of people listening need, and this is true, by the way, if you're a trainer or if you're a strength coach in a private facility, it is true that everything is downstream of leads and marketing, right? I just want to mention it's also true that if you're not good at fulfilling, if you're not good at training, if you're not good at taking care of the clients, it's going to all be for naught. So I don't mean to suggest this is the only thing. And sometimes you get really good at marketing and just find out faster you're not good at fulfilling. But leaving that aside for now, because there's been so much interest from so many people I talk to, 90%, and that's the core thing, is they just need more leads. I have been working and pulling together a lot of different strategies you can do. So largely this book was my attempt to, can I create a completely comprehensive model that touches on literally everything I can think of to do to help grow a gym? Now, I would note a downside of this both its upside, which is it can be read in 30 minutes. And the downside is we're not getting in the weeds on all of the things. I appreciate you saying, and I did try to give you some bangers, some actual things you can do to tweak and get better results. But, I'll concede this book isn't all the how to do's. It would be not even a book. I don't think even a single book could do that, but it does give you all the what's to do. And the good news and bad news is if you run a gym or, again, even like a private training facility, or if you're an independent trainer, there's not actually an unlimited number of things you can do, right? There's a finite number of strategies. And, to the best of my ability, they're all in there. Of course, again, in addition to doing them well, I would just also note that you do have to be thoughtful about what you do, because the other thing that I'm tempted to go back and add into the forward is don't try to do all of this. Like, time is going to be a constraint. You would need like 4 full-time people to do all of these strategies. And not everything in here is going to work for every gym, for every brand, for every market. So you do want to be thoughtful and sequential about how you approach this all. But I think this model will allow someone reading to at least move through some sequential checklist to understand, based on what I need, what are the various systems that I could play, and what are the various strategies I could try to get some more movement for lead and client generation.
Absolutely. And I think here's the good part about this is you use the word we just talked about. We're going to go over lead generation systems, lead nurture systems, lead conversion systems. First of all, you wouldn't be able to have the other gym and Business for Unicorns if you did not have those systems in place at MFF.
Yeah.
That's bottom line, right? I went to see Michael Gerber probably almost 20 years ago now. Michael Gerber, who wrote the E-Myth. I know, Mark, I know you know that. Who wrote the E-Myth Revisited. He said, the number one advice I can give you is get an office 6 blocks from your place of business, right? So I love that, right?
That's
and
brilliant.
It's like, when you do go through this book, sometimes you're like, whoa, I do have to schedule out some time for this, schedule out some time for that. And I do want to say another really good thing. What I love what you did with this is not just this is not just about only marketing. There's lead generation, but then there's lead nurture and lead conversion. And the problem, I'm not throwing like Alex Hormozy stuff under the bridge, but I do know a couple of gym owners that use that stuff. And what they weren't prepared for was the collateral damage of those leads coming in. So you have to talk to those leads. Like, we're going to talk about this in a minute. The 10-minute conversation, then the 35-minute or to 45-minute strategy session. There's follow-ups. There's all of these things that you need to be prepared for. So a lot of people will say, here's your leads, but then they don't do the rest of it. So I think it's really important, and you've laid it out really well in this book. So it's a great job. Let's start out. I see a lot of the building a story brand, Donald Miller, like your website. Even if you never, if someone never heard of Donald Miller, you go to Mark's website homepage, and it is a masterclass in building a story brand. But before you do that, you do have to create your ideal client. Who are you looking to work for? Talk to us about the client avatar and really how deep you go into that.
Yeah, so I think this is really where it starts, because in a perfect world, everything is built after getting clear on who it is you're looking to serve, what it is they want, what are the problems they're having, and importantly, what is the emotional consequences of these problems and how they want to feel differently and how they want their life to change. So I think of the avatar or ideal client, there's a lot of different things you can call it, but like your dream client, right? There's sort of 2 pieces for you to understand. First, there is the demographics. These are the things like, where they live, how much income they make, what organizations they belong to, what media they consume. And that stuff is all important and often will help you understand where to market to them, right? Because, for instance, if your client has a certain, let's say, non-profit that they're passionate about, or a charity organization they're affiliated with, or even another business that they use, well, that's great data for you to understand where you should be trying to get in front of them. The psychographic information is important and a little more artistic and subjective. And this is really more about their short-term wants, their long-term aspirations and dreams, and their short-term frustrations and their long-term nightmares. And I think getting clear on the words that your clients use in their own head before bed when thinking about their wants, dreams, fears, and nightmares is incredibly helpful, not for where the marketing goes, but for what the marketing says. So it is a sometimes called, I think, the Robert Collier effect, named after a famous old school copywriter. You want to enter the conversation that's already going on in the prospect's head. And I will give one hyper tactical thing for anyone listening that is maybe the most common mistake I see on a lot of websites. So a website needs to immediately make it clear how you help people, who you help, how you help them, and what to do next. Whereas, like Donald Miller says, is so true. You have to immediately make it clear how you can help them survive or thrive. And it has to be obvious right away. A lot of gyms, and this is really kind of the issue, I think, in general. And this is the thing, particularly for you listening, who I love you so much, you're like me. For the nerdy nerds, it's even harder because, like, we love training, we love the process, we want sustainable things. Where I see oftentimes, websites that are attempting to talk to their avatar, and they're saying things that maybe even the client might say in a conversation if they're self-conscious about how they're being perceived, but they're not actually using the real, like, emotional trigger words that matter to them. So an example would be creating lasting health results. That's not bad. And listen, I should qualify, there's room for subjectivity, right? And, like, listen, if you test it and it works, all of marketing is a word for test, right? If you test it, the data says your website's converting, amazing. I don't have the sense that the vast majority, particularly dealing with Gen Pop before bed, they're like, God, if I could just have lasting health results. I just want lasting health results, right? And I'm not saying it's literally this, but it's more often things like, it's not that many things. It's usually like, you want to, like, lose weight, you want to get strong, you want to feel confident again, you want to feel like in your 20s. And again, those are some common ones. It might not be for your population, right? I know we have a lot of sports performance people that are listening, right? So maybe this is about explosive strength, right? There's a lot of things that could go into it. But the key thing I want you taking from this is, when you're thinking about the words you use in all of your marketing, but particularly on the website, you really want to use the words that clients use in their head when they're thinking about their short-term wants and their long-term dreams. What is it they want?
Yeah, and I'll go back to your website. The headline is, "We help people who hate gyms." That is gonna catch somebody who, that's who they're looking for. The people, I want to go somewhere different. I don't want to walk into this gym where there's going to be a bunch of people dressed up, and young people dressed up, and they're rude, and they're they don't want to be in that place, and they don't feel comfortable in that place. So that saying, "We help people who hate." Hate's a strong word, but it's not on the wellness journey. I think something right now a lot of people can understand with too is, I talk to a lot of older folks. I train a lot of older folks, and when I'm talking about my training, I say, I'm trying to get you to do the things. I said, I don't like gyms. I'm not a gym rat. I want to get you out of this place. So what we can do here, we're efficient here. So what we're doing here works out there in the real world, and you can live independent. You could go to the store on your own. You can walk up the stairs. Those are the things that that they still want to do some of those things. So I love the way you put that. And also, he wrote in your psychographic information, it will inform your marketing copy, which you just talked about. You want to sell the smile, not the braces. I absolutely love that.
Yeah. And for this population, again, this is the mini challenge, because, sort of the knee-jerk joke about bad, like, gym sales is, you bring them to the gym and you're like, look, everyone, we have kettlebells, we have battle ropes, we have a Kaiser machine, right? Like, Gen Pop people are like, even most sports performance people, right? They just want to know, well, does this create the outcome that I want to create the feeling that I want, right? And it's very easy when we are also responsible for, and frankly, really passionate about the process, right? Because it's almost more of a threat the better you are at what you do, because you love the process, and that's amazing. And that means you're likely going to be very good at what you do, and that's awesome. But we have to avoid the curse of knowledge. We need to do our best to stay in the mindset, in the worldview of the people that we're trying to help, right? So we're going to focus on what they want. And listen, there's a time and a place to educate them, right? There's a time and place to help them understand the process. And we'll always have a certain percentage of your clients that will be like real nerds with you, and they'll really want to dig in and really understand the nuances of undulating periodization. But in practice, Most people are not as interested in autogenic inhibition outside the gate. They just want to know, like, am I going to fit better in those jeans? Because my high school reunion is in a month and I'm feeling real crappy about myself, bro. Can you help?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we have the demographics, we have the psychographics, and I just want to point out one more thing. One thing is why I feel like it's really important to go through those things. You said, look, the psychographic information, it's going to inform that marketing copy. Obviously, super important. The demographics, so too. Sometimes you could discover some things that maybe you want to change that demographic or that person, that you really have to figure this out. Because if let's say you're selling, I don't know, cigars. I'm just going to use that as an example.
Sure.
Like you're in the cigar market and you realize, how do I get to these people? The only way to do it is they all get cigar aficionado, and it's really expensive to advertise in there. So sometimes I think we identify that person, but you still have to understand, can I reach that person? What are the things that where are they? What media are they consuming?
Yep.
Do I have the finances to reach them? Do I have the ability to reach them? I think it's important.
Totally. And that's a great example too, when you're talking about where to do the marketing. That is one of the things that is very market dependent. And again, I do think at this point, between Biz for Unicorns, but also owning a gym in Hell's Kitchen and a gym in Franklin Lakes, just different strategies, right? Like, so, if I'm in New York City, a great move that I love for a lot of markets is, I think some forms of traditional paid media in like a newspaper with like a good, you nail the copy, it can be actually really work in a lot of markets.
Yeah.
In New York City, it's kind of a hard game, right? Like, I'm not going to, New York Times is not my hometown paper 3 blocks from me. They're not letting me write a free business like column journalism, nor is that even helpful because it's really more of a national paper. Although I'll say, even in New York, we have West 42nd Street Magazine, which you better believe we're advertisers in, and hit that micro demographic population. So as you think through where these people are going to be, again, I just want to encourage you to consider your market as well. As sometimes, through no one's fault, and this is something I do too, when we're speaking in generalities about these strategies and systems, I do think you need to do a little bit of calibration for your market, whether it be rural or urban or something in between.
Absolutely. Good stuff. Once, like, okay, we have that down, and we're going to have to, like, that's going to help our website as well, like we talked about. So now it's informing our marketing. It's going to decide what pictures we put on, right? We want our demographic to be up there enjoying what we're teaching them. But there's going to be an offer. Your offer is a free class. The first one, book a free class on your website. That's the one thing, right? So I want you to talk about this free offer, or the front end offer. I'm sorry. That you say it should be a low barrier offer that's easy to get started. But then there's the 10-minute discovery call.
Yep.
And then there's the strategy session. So I was a little confused.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, thank you so much. That's a great question. So you want to have something that is the first thing they do. Right. So we'll start with that. Like, that's the simple principle. Like, what is the first thing you want them to do? And in most situations, the first thing you're going to want them to do is not sign up for a 12-month membership of whatever the thing you offer is. So what is the first thing that you do? And most gyms, particularly if you want more leads, is often the case, will benefit from something that is a relatively lower barrier. And what that means is, it's not a long time duration, it's not a huge commitment of time, and it's not super expensive. Now, I'm careful to say most gyms, because in practice, there's 2 big buckets of front end offers as I understand this. There is, and this is somewhat subjective, but what I would define as a low barrier offer. So under $100, right? Like in a vacuum right now, again, if you want something like, if I don't know you, I don't know anything about you, 14 days for $99, unlimited, whatever you offer, right? Crude. But it could be all the way down to a free week, a free class. It could be $99 for a 30-day package with a set number of classes or sessions. It could even be in sports performance. My favorite tends to be $99 paid assessment. And all of these are pretty affordable. They're not a huge time commitment. And remember, we're not just making the risk low as far as money, because you can put in a money back guarantee. But if you're charging reasonable rates at any sort of more advanced facility, usually $100 is not going to be a massive barrier. You're not going to have a lot of people that like, well, I would sign up at, 89, but 99, that's can't spend that $10, right? As you're thinking through this, understand that there is not just the threat of the loss of money, there's a loss of time and energy, and there's a fear of looking foolish. So please understand too, as you're thinking through this, this is another, the mini challenge as we all, move between these different strata in the industry is an athlete might be very excited to pay money for an assessment that's going to make me stronger, right? Oh, if I pay you this money, you're going to do some interesting testing with me. We're going to work on my vertical jump. Oh, this is exactly what I'm looking for. Because then once we've done the assessment, we can design a good program for me, right? Well, Mrs. Rossini, Gen Pop people are usually not excited to pay you for your evaluation or your assessment. You might do that as part of the value building, right? So I'm not saying that can't be a part of it, but I would just note, again, you're selling the benefit and the outcome. And that's another great example of different avatars. I think a lot of people in the athletic performance space understand that this is an exciting tool to get me the outcome I really care about. Whereas for Gen Pop, maybe not so much, right? It's always, for instance, the functional movement screen, I always make a big deal about like, it's just like, we're just going to see how you move, right? Like, it's not a test.
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah, yeah.
evaluating you. I'm not like looking at you and judging you, right? I'm just going to see how you move. If you can't do it wrong, just going to give me some info to take great care of you. So anyway, so that's the low barrier offer. The other bucket I was alluding to is I do think if you are adept at sales and based on your avatar and your market and your model, I think a more premium price front end offer can also work where someone makes a more substantial commitment. So if the low barrier offer is a lot about like, come try us out, try some workouts. You want workouts? We got workouts. You want to try our workouts? And we know that we want them to do programs. I get that. But in the beginning, they're like, I want to do some workouts. Can I try your workouts? However, for some people, they have a lot of pain and they're not looking for like a vitamin. They want a painkiller, right? And they have an issue. So I think of the premium price front end offer. It's got to be at least 4 weeks because we really do want to see some movement. And to be honest, let's all be real. It's hard to see like a lot of change in 2 weeks. I'm not saying you can't do anything, but usually a little longer. It tends to be 4 to 6 weeks because after 6 weeks, you tend to get a drop off of compliance. And these programs can be sold for $500, $800, $1,500, depending on what you offer and what your market are. But this isn't about come try workouts. This is a promise you can taste and touch and point to. It's benefit and outcome driven. It's not come try workouts on the way to what is, implicitly doing something more long term. This is defined endpoint. Will you try to sell a membership afterwards? Probably, yeah, more often than not. But you're going all in, and is still, even though it's more expensive, will still feel relatively speaking like very good value because this type of program to be done well, you need to give them a lot, right? It's part of why it's not always the right fit for everybody. It's not only does it tend to be expensive, but you also really need to fulfill. You need to have the capacity. Usually you're going to need to have some coaching on top of it. This is usually not going to work if you just send them some PDFs and, they take a lot of workouts. Again, depends on your model, but usually I'm going to encourage people to do some more coaching in here. So those are the two options that I think take care of probably 99% of the first things you could do. And to your point, and by the time anyone watching reads this book, I've gone back in because I think Anthony may have helped me clarify further what the path is. In most situations, no matter what the offer is on the website or the Facebook ad or the email, the first thing you do is going to be a 10-minute phone call, right? In Business for Unicorns world, we call that the discovery call. And it's like a little appetizer sales conversation, right? It's a quick call. We're not trying to get in super, super deep. Ideally, we do want to strike a little bit of oil of emotion. And then we want to get them to do the next thing. Now, that might be purchasing a $99 low bear offer. It might be booking them into their free class. It might be booking them into a strategy session to sell them into a membership, right? That some people do that, right? You just get them right in a strategy session and then you sell them the membership there, which you can do because now you have a longer conversation. And the strategy session is a more robust sales conversation. It's usually going to be 30 to 60 minutes. And that's going to be an opportunity to help them get clear on what do you want? Why do you want it? What is the emotional outcome you want? What's the cost of not having it? And what's been getting in the way? And then you build value for how your service create those specific outcomes and remove those obstacles. The building value, depending on your model, can take the form of either a verbal discussion about your services, creating those outcomes and serving those obstacles. It could be done while you give a tour, not talking about the features, not talking just about the kettlebells, talking about the benefits they create. or it could be some kind of assessment. And honestly, for those of you listening with love, I mean, this is a true compliment. You tend to be nerdier peoples. So you nerdier peoples, you often can draft on the authority you can create because you really know your stuff. So it might make sense for you, depending, frame it thoughtfully, but you might really build value and establish some real competence and credibility by doing either a movement screen or some performance testing. You could do an in-body here. A lot of the larger group franchise models, they'll actually do like a class or mini workout in there that also can work very well. But the point of that second half is linking, here's what we do and how we get you those outcomes and overcome those obstacles. And then you move on to the next step, right? So again, if this is a full, robust sales conversation, usually you're selling them on to the next thing. And that's why it gets a little complicated, right? Because if you're doing a defined endpoint $1,500 program, sometimes that's the next thing you do. That's when you make that sale. In some situations, now we're selling them into some sort of ongoing membership. And that's a whole different topic this book doesn't delve into. We don't have time. I would say the way you structure your pricing, the terms, that's its own extra topic. But I could only fit so much into a book I wanted you to read in less than 30 minutes.
Yeah. No, I totally get what you're saying about that piece too, because I do that for golfers. We'll talk for a little bit, build that rapport, and then I'll do the Titleist 12-point screen that's really quick.
Yep.
They get a full report from Titleist, but then I might do 2 or 3 things like a kind of a teach them the hip hinge with the dowel, and then get them back into and show them a before and after picture of their setup position. All of a sudden they're like, whoa, this was amazing. This guy already helped me with this. Let's go.
Oh, I love that. The before and after picture. That's so money, by the way. I mean, talk about like a genius, like little thing to show immediate value. Because one of the hard parts about fitness is unlike a nail salon, you don't get the benefit right away, right?
Yeah,
like,
good point.
The real benefit takes a long time and it's going to require work to get there. So things like that, I think that's brilliant, Anthony, because you're increasing what's often called time to value, right? They see immediately like, oh, holy crap. This is proof that like you very quickly got me better at this thing that I care about. So I think that's a great idea.
Yeah. Mark, just really quick though. So on your site, it says free class, but so they'll book the free class there. There'll be a schedule. Then you guys get the lead. Will you say, hey, Steve, call this person for their 10-minute discovery? Or how does that does that 10-minute discovery fit in?
Yeah, that's precisely it. And it's interesting too, because I would note, MFF is definitely, to your earlier point, an example of like, that's not what I'd recommend most gyms do. It's not what we do in the New Jersey gym, because we can afford to have a much higher lead flow of volumes. New York City also is a very unique market. So that is closer to a large group fitness franchise model where that strategy is a little bit different because I'm optimizing for lead flow, knowing I'm gonna have to go through more leads to get throughput into actual memberships. So unlike what I would usually recommend, I don't even have the friction of the call. I'm like, just come in and take a class, right? Let's get as many people sign up for classes as possible. And then, then we call and try to get our 10-minute call and then move them into the next thing, right? So that works for us because 1, I think it's an okay fit for New York City market. 2, we want and need more lead volume because we're larger. And 3, I have a capacity, including a full-time and a half salesperson. For most gyms listening, they're closer to my gym in New Jersey. And that's a very lean model, right? So shout out to Aloy, shout out to Rick Mayo. That is a model I really love. And it's closer to what a lot of you are doing because, we have 2.5 trainers and 2 owners that help out kind of part-time. So for that model, it's dead simple. And shout out to Vince and to Kiss who run the website and the play there. You go to the website, you opt in, and somebody calls you and you do a 10-minute call. And then from the 10-minute call, you're selling the next thing, which is come in for a free strategy session. And then we move you right into your first month of a cancel anytime membership. So that is an elegant and simple and brilliant move for a lot of people. Again, depending on your skill set, market, staffing capacity, that may or may not be the right fit for you. But I think both of those models, although very different, I think, display different ways you can utilize the principle, which is, again, as a reminder, you need what is the obvious first thing you want them to do? And then how do you continue to sell them into the next thing? Because the thing that we know doesn't work is probably moving them right into the 12-month membership doesn't work. And then on the other hand, you do need to have something to do, right? Like, so I don't know in practice if you can have too low of a barrier, but I would say this, for a lot of gym owners listening, another crude, stupid principle: if you're not getting enough leads, it's possible that the barrier is too high, right? Sometimes you are getting more leads than you need and the quality is low. And actually, by increasing the barrier, you would save time and energy because, unlike at MFF, I don't have the constraint of, well, I've only got 10 hours most per week to do this. I have a full-time salesperson and a half, right? Very different model. We have a front desk staff that can participate in the sales thing. So, to your earlier point, Anthony, it's funny because I think a lot of people look at MFF and they think like, oh, they're, the brand is crazy and they do all that stuff. And that's true, but I don't think that's necessarily like that relevant of distinction. I think the thing about MFF, and to be candid, a lot of the bigger, more successful gyms in the industry is bigger gyms can just do different shit that most people in the beginning probably don't want to be messing with, right? Sort of what got you here won't get you there. And I need to get you here before I can get you there. Yeah. And now I'm having a gym getting here. So I'm not just the president of the hair club for men. I'm also a client.
The kids might not understand that one.
I know it.
Mark, I love this piece because that's, hey, look, you did your website. You can do this through like a free Wix if you really wanted to. You could set up that.
Good. I discourage you, but you could.
Yeah, exactly. But some people are doing. You're right. I agree 100%. But the idea, I think one of the people will complain about is the financial piece of some of these things. And when we get into lead generations now, lead generation systems, we talk about paid marketing. You talk about paid marketing in it, but you also, one thing that I thought was brilliant, and you talk about organizing your email database. Talk about the people that we already have a relationship with, and this is brilliant.
Okay. I'm so excited to talk about this. And this is also for those that come to my Perform Better talk, which now you have either seen or, depending when this goes live, maybe you'll see me in LA. But this is the thing that was the masterstroke that I don't think gets enough credit. It was so much of how MFF had the success it did at the scale that it did, as quickly as it did, is I just knew a ton of people. And right now you have personal relationships with a lot of people that probably don't really know what you do, probably don't know how you can help them, right? Whether you have a gym or you're an independent trainer. And those people, even if they are not qualified prospects, know people who could be prospects that you might be able to help, but we're just not talking to them on a regular basis. They don't even know that you offer help, or if they do, they don't know what the first step would be or what they should be doing next, right? So Mark Fisher Fitness, I just knew a lot of people because I spent my 20s drinking my way through Hell's Kitchen, hanging out with Broadway people, trying to hope some chorus girls would kiss me. And I had a lot of friends and I did a lot of shows. And one of my co-founders, similarly, Brian Patrick Murphy, also just knew a ton of people. So we literally knew a few thousand people between the two of us. And, it kind of had reputations as like, kind of friendly, fun guys. And we're like nice to be around. And we, kind of knew what we were doing. And of course, we were very good at what we did. And we got lots of results. And, that led to some really intense organic referral stuff, which again, I wouldn't recommend. I don't think it's likely for most people to do that, but I built it on the base of the people that I already have a relationship with. So my simple, but I think useful rule of thumb is if you'd say hello to them in the grocery store, you probably should be contacting them on somewhat or regular basis. I think email marketing is the easiest way to do it. Now, admittedly, that's its own huge, giant topic, and there's lots of things one can say about how to do that well or not, but at a bare minimum, on some regular cadence, ideally at least once per week, we want to be reaching out to the people that know us, that already like us and trust us, and give them ideally some valuable stuff and let them know what they might do next if they want to work with us. And I will say this is another thing that's been so interesting too, is I've really spent a lot of time, really working with like actual humans and trying stuff and trying out these theories. This strategy is so important because if you're just starting out, or if your gym hasn't been around that long, or you're a personal trainer and can't even have that many people at a time, you don't have 1,000 former clients. You don't have 2,000 unconverted leads you can go back to, but you do have people and the average person knows about 600 people. I'm not saying literally all of them are going to go on this email marketing list, but I think more of them should go on than not. And I think it's important that we become comfortable and willing to move through some of the scary feelings that I felt, we all felt. It feels weird to kind of put yourself out there sometimes. But if you really think you can help people, and your wife's best friend from work that you don't know as well, that kind of knows that you have a gym, and she's maybe thinking of hiring someone, but she's sort of obliquely aware because you're not as close with her. Well, goodness, you should help her, right? She wants help. She
Yeah.
should go to you. You're going to care a lot, right? We want her to go to you. So anyway, I think taking the time, even though it's annoying, to just meticulously go through all your emails, your cell phone, your Facebook friends, and organize the list of all the people that you know that might either ever be interested in getting help with you or might know someone that's interested in getting help with you. I think it's a very important use of your time because you really only need to do it once. And then you have your list, and that's kind of the lifeblood of your business going forward.
Absolutely. Good stuff. I want to stay on. I believe this book is for everybody. I don't believe it's just for new gym owners. I think this is somewhere where a lot of gym owners get stuck at one point, right? At one, like they have too much marketing and they don't have the systems to kind of handle those leads, et cetera, et cetera. But I want to stay on the kind of new person because under this is also paid marketing, right? And you had said something that I want you to expand on and your thoughts on this more, but all mature gyms should consider paid lead acquisition. Are you saying that newer gyms should kind of stay away from that in the beginning and deal with the organic stuff? Or, can you expand on this?
Yeah, not necessarily. And this is where it's hard. It depends a little bit. But yes, it's true that I think it's once a gym reaches a certain level of maturity, I think it's going to be a very rare situation market that you don't also want to complement your organic strategies with paid digital. Because at a certain point, understand again, the way retention works, it's a law of numbers, right? If you have 30 clients and you're losing 5% per month, that's 1.5 person, I guess, right? It's not that hard to replace them. If you have 1,000 clients, which most of us don't, but there's large group gyms that get up there. You have 1,000 clients, even if you're at 5% per month, it's still 50 people you need to get just to prevent the business not from backsliding. So at a certain point, just to have a sufficient volume of leads, you will need paid digital, I think, to be a piece of this. Paid digital is not as good as it was. It's more expensive. The leads are hard to get in touch with. They're much colder. Unless you happen to be, and there are some, again, market dependent, there's some markets where it's still not as blown out as it is in, say, Midtown Manhattan, right?
Yeah.
But it's still a very important thing, can be a useful part of your strategy. Now, going back to your question about the newer gym owner, well, what do they do? Do they do organic stuff? Do they go in on paid? And the annoying answer is depends a little bit, but here's how I think about this. So again, paid is very valuable because it's still a relatively, not as cheap as it was at all, but still a relatively affordable way to get leads, to grow your list, to have people to follow up with. And if you have the time and the capacity and the interest and the resources, and there are ways of automating a lot of this stuff, and you're willing to do the work to follow up as much as you actually need to, which by the way, is so much more than you think, then paid it's certainly the fastest and the least time commitment on your part path to getting leads in. So there might be a case where like, look, I just need more leads. I need to get them in. I'm going right to offer. Right. And even that, I won't get us in the weeds, but the right to offer, the sending people directly to an offer on Facebook ads doesn't work quite as well as it did. There's maybe, again, this is maybe a little more complex, but for my older, hats in the listening, I think there's more and more of a case to be made for slightly more complicated strategies where you're sending to brand stuff and like video watches before you go to offer. But your other option, and I think the thing that, and again, this is the thing that like I didn't know, because at MFF, in 2012, I didn't, I was good at nurturing. I was sending emails. I was on Facebook organically, which was the equivalent of Instagram at the time. So I was good at nurturing my leads. I had a good offer. I had the Snatch program. I had various trials. I was good at nurturing. I was good at offers, and I organized my database. The actual lead generation part, I never figured out how to do until a couple years ago. And here's why. Because I had so many existing leads already, the people that I knew, and we were so good at what we did that people were dragging their friends in by their hair. And then I was nurturing really well once they were in our world.
Yeah.
We had good offers for them. But this was a little bit of a hole for me that I had to figure out, right? So paid digital is a great way to plug that hole. it's just like not, unfortunately, it's not the heyday anymore. It's not what it was 5-6 years ago. You can't expect to really be successful if you just sit in your office and press the buttons. Now, if you have money and you have no time and you do those other things, maybe you could do it sooner rather than later. I would encourage you, however, to consider, in addition to generating leads through organic leads through referrals, going to meet strangers. Okay. And here's why. Once again, we have the law of numbers. Well, if you don't have any former clients, if you don't have any unconverted leads, if you're an introvert, you only know 75 people in your town, and if you only have 15 clients, that's not a lot of people to market to. So even if you've organized a database, which you still should, and even if you have a good referral offer, which you still should, these are all games of numbers. It's not enough volume. You need to get more people. Paid digital is one way to do it. But my other favorite, and I go into great detail about this in my Talk and Perform Better, is go meet strangers. You have to go talk to people. And here's like the real talk. And again, this has been so fun and challenging and like wonderful to figure out. I was like, oh, okay, I get it. Like you think either marketing is icky or you're afraid to do it because you have imposter syndrome. Like, so you're afraid to just put yourself out there because you're like, I don't know if I actually am that good if I'm being honest. Or you have social anxiety, you're super introverted, you're just actually afraid of people you don't know. Well, I'm so excited for you because this is a great opportunity for you to grow as a person. You got to go meet strangers. And I'm obsessed with operationalizing things. So here's what we do at my Alloy. We have a weekly standard where everybody on the team has to have 10 conversations with strangers where they give them a business card with a super low barrier offer, right? Because these people are relatively colder, a QR code. And we try to get at least 2 of the 10 people to give us contact information so we can follow up with them, right? Because much better if you can follow up with them than if you give them a card. Again, it's not going to hurt, but you're not going to get as much uptake. Now, that might sound like, oh, yeah, but like 10 people, whatever, I'm giving cards, and a lot of them you're never going to hear from again. But understand, if you're just one person doing that, that's 500 people over a year. That's 1,500 people over 3 years. Well, what if you have 2 trainers doing it with you? That's 4,500 conversations over 3 years. Like, that's going to change your life. Is it going to be a massive percentage? No, but this is all a game of numbers, right? And the key thing is you want to have a conversation that is meaningful enough, right? So this isn't like, so when I have them do it, I teach them on this. I'm like, you can't just like give 10 cards to one person. Like, that doesn't count, right? It's like, here, do you want cards? Okay, gotta go, right? You're trying to have a conversation, and that might mean, and we haven't done this, but you could even make that a KPI. It's like you have to have 50 starts. You have to be like, and I have a full script. I'll give you like a little like here's your first line. I'll make it easy for you. The first question you ask is like, hi there, do you live in the area? That's your first question, right? Like, and then from there, and again, a lot of people are going to be like, get away from me. Like, literally the first time we did this, I took my team out and did it. Like, the 4th lady we went to was like, this is illegal. I'm calling the cops.
Oh my
she
God.
goes up to Stop and Shop to grab a cop, like the 4th person we talked to. But I'm like, I don't care. I'll sell the cop. Come to me. Come buy a membership. Alloy's an amazing, what do you do for your fitness? You'll be going to be so excited about this amazing small group personal training product. So again, I realize that, sounds easy in theory. And I just want to push you because I know we're running up on time here, but if there's one thing you take from it, that this is the marketing thing that almost no one does. And it's also because you're just like, I'm just not sure how to do it, or I'm not sure what to say. Start with, do you live around here? Make sure you have something physical to give them that like is a good offer. Work on the skill of actually being bold enough to ask for the contact info. Because I get what, if you got an Orange Theory in your neighborhood, they're sure doing it. They're sure going out there and asking for the contact info. And then over time, if you get better over this, again, to your point, kind of closing the circle, none of these things change your business overnight, right? Like, that's a thing I'll concede. Paid ads are the one thing that within a couple of weeks, you can start getting more people coming in. They're not going to be the warmest people. They're not going to be easy to follow up with. It's not cheap, but that can help. But all of these other things are also important. Like, I don't think in 2024, you can rely just on paid ads anymore. It's just not going to work. It's going to be too expensive. You're going to spend too much time following up people, their dead ends. That's not to say it doesn't play a role. It's just to say that again, you can't do all of the things in this book, but I would say you definitely need an organic meeting strangers strategy, particularly if you don't know anybody. And you can decide if and when at some point you probably will also want to layer in paid digital.
Awesome. And to your point, we've used this word systems so many times because, you really do need it, because when you do get the paid, you do get flooded. If you're not prepared, there is that collateral damage.
Yeah.
You're not able to help the people that you're trying to help.
Yeah.
because you're spending so much time with these,
Yeah.
kind of soft leads. So,
Yep.
guys,
Yep.
this book is called The Little Book of Gym Marketing Secrets.
Yes.
And
debatable about whether it's really secrets.
there you go.
I don't know if it's really secrets, but
all of these systems are in it: lead gen, lead nurture, lead conversion systems. And Mark talks all about planners. The book is free. We're going to have a link at traincoachpodcast.com. Mark, what is where can they get the book really quick?
Yeah, they can also go to gymmarketingsecretsbook.com. That's gymmarketingsecretsbook.com. And then you'll just find it's totally free. It's less than a 30-minute read. I think you'll dig it. There's a lot more we need to talk about today. I'm really proud of it, and I think you'll find it valuable.
Very cool, Mark. Great job with this. I will see you in Chicago in a couple hours. Take care. Safe travels, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, see you soon, buddy.
All right, that's going to do it for episode 384 of the Strength Coach Podcast. Remember, the show notes are located at strengthcoachpodcast.com. Guys, thanks to Chris Poirier and the folks over at Perform Better. The summits, you got 2 opportunities to get in on them. LA, August 1st to the 3rd. Providence, August 22nd to the 24th. You can check it all out, as well as the current sale at performbetter.com. Thanks to Coach Boyle and Mark Fisher for sharing their insights and philosophies into the world of strength conditioning, performance enhancement, and marketing. That's going to do it for this episode. My name's Anthony Renna. Thanks for listening, and I'll speak to you next time.